Well, hello there. Patch 26.3 is coming up, and I'm kind of updating my client. But I thought I'd run you through the changes I've observed that are worth talking about. And I'm still going through this, but there are already a few things that I think need to be emphasized when you're playing as Yorick. So champion bounties. If you've seen some of my recent videos, you notice that we often when we snowballed in lane, we would get 63 gold for a kill when we still needed to expend resources on landing killing a Darius. I think in one of my recent games against God King Darius, 63 gold for a lot of summoner spell rotations. Now, granted, because I already have Maiden up, it's not going to be a lot. It's just Q, W, and E, but the amount of time it took for me to take down Darius and the 63 gold, I would I may as well just last hit a cannon minion, and it would have given me more gold. So it seems like the devaluation, if you oh man, the update's done. It seems like the devaluation was a little too strong. So Riot is kind of increasing the gold that you're getting, even though you're ahead or you've killed an opposing laner quickly. That said, it is going to change my strategy just a little bit. Once I start to get, I want you to remember that when I play Yorick, I'm not really focused on champion kills. I'm focused on taking turrets and securing objectives for my team. But kills are naturally a part of that because if we're winning lane, it naturally results into something like that. So if that ever happens, I'm thinking of figuring out a way to work with our mid laner and maybe help take their turret down. But there is a turret plate update that's worth talking about that may also hinder that or make it a little tougher to do in the early game. So turret plating, the in short, when there are more enemy champions around the turret plate, there's a higher resistance early game, but it's reduced from late game. You'll notice it says 20 in the early game and 100 per plate late game, based on the number of enemy champions pushing that turret. As a solo laner, as Yorick, this is great because in terms of pushing side lanes by yourself, there are less resistances later in the game. Okay, awesome. But it also means that if someone is helping you late game, if there's two or three of you, it won't be as punishing because a hundred resistances per plate later in the game, it seems like it seems like pushing a turret is much more punishing if there's three of you. It's more rewarding if it's just one. So now, late game, it's less. So if as a team you want to make a push for a turret, it's much easier. Still, it's not often something that I do. I group with my team every now and then, but more often than not, as Yorick, you're pushing turrets by yourself anyway. So early game, there are more resistances. It's now additional 30 because you're there, because you're the enemy champion. But if your jungler is there, it just adds on more to that. So early game, not as quick, which means don't get baited into trying to take turret plates very early, especially with the whole crystalline overgrowth visual. Don't get baited by that. It's better if you rush home, use a home guard buff, and then reset your health, your mana, buy your item, cash in your gold to appear in lane again healthy and strong. Phalites looks like I'll need to see what this looks like, but it seems that the vision is reduced. I think Phalites were kind of overpowered because it prevented a lot of jungle involvement, especially when it comes to top lane. There's a lot of room for junglers to kind of come in, walk in, land their abilities, and for the enemy top laner to also kind of run me down. So I understand why this change is made. It just helps junglers kind of position themselves. It's just hard to gank when Phalites are have such a wide vision. Trinkets are also uh, trinkets will also have a longer cooldown. Okay, I guess that makes sense. So just being smart about when you use your trinket. Support control wards, not really. Not really too concerned. These are still good updates to go through, but I'm just running through which ones are relevant for top lane and for Yorick. Briar. Briar is worth reading because because she's often a jungler when I play, and it seems like she's getting a health growth buff and armor growth. The biggest challenge, of course, with Briar is that she just out heals a lot of people, even with healing reduction. But now she's stronger with more health, a bit more armor, less health cost. So overall, a buff to Briar. We'll see how this shakes out. But because I don't take Ignite, I'll have to consider Executioner's Calling maybe more often than not. Diana as a jungler, reduced jungle monster damage, and that's fine. We just have to be careful though. That means she'll be able to clear her camps much faster and may potentially gank sooner. Also, I've noticed that there's been a nerf to Dusk and Dawn users, in particular Echo. Her Echo's AP ratios went up. Monster damage for jungle went down, but Dusk and Dawn also gets a nerf. I think instead of 100% base AD in the auto attack, it's just 75% now. So there's a bit of damage reduction. Hecarim. 3% per 100 bonus AD. Okay. Seems like there's a buff to Hecarim jungle. Heimerdinger. I haven't seen Heimerdinger top in a while. It's worth reading. More health for Heimerdinger. And increased W damage. 55% AP. Okay. Kayn. Maokai. For top lane Maokai, let's read. A little bit of extra power to find relevance. Q increased damage, flat increased damage. Okay. There's about a 10 damage per rank increase. Okay, so I've read the changes to Mel, and the only concern for Yorick when it comes to fighting Mel is she can throw our E back at us. But in saying that, doesn't really do much other than the slow and the armor reduction. Not a Riven, because top lane Rivens are a thing. We like that she's swift and lethal early game, but ultimately bursting down our competition too quickly once mid game arrives. Well, that's true. Passive. Her total AD ratio has been reduced by 5% until late game. Okay. Bonus AD for Q has been reduced. 65 to 60 and from 85% to 80% bonus AD. Okay, that's good. That means her Q will be easier to deal with, and she will have lesser total AD ratio, although by just a hair. So she's still something to be reckoned with. Small nerf to Ryze's W. I haven't seen Ryze top lane in a while. Mostly he's been in mid lane. Trundle is a challenging battle when you're Yorick, because Trundle is so good at sustaining because of his W. He has an innate passive where every minion that dies around him, or anything that dies around him, he gains health. And if you build resistances, his ult will allow him to steal resistances, put it on himself. Plus, his Q, it takes away AD from you and adds it to him, I think. So he has increased armor and increased attack damage growth. That's going to be a problem because Trundle is way faster when it comes to split pushing than Yorick is. Way faster. And what I've seen people build on top lane Trundle or split push Trundle is Hydra. I forgot which one. The one that has lifesteal. Hydra, and then I think you know what I mean. And then Hullbreaker. Because he has a W passive where he has so much increased attack speed, the getting to 5 hits on Hullbreaker is way easy for Trundle. So we have to keep that in mind. We can't really stat check Trundle. He's way too strong of a 1v1 as Yorick. So We have to find a way to disengage, especially when he uses Q. Tryndamere, increased AD growth. Haven't seen top lane Tryndamere in a while. Still afraid of his. Excuse me. Still afraid of his crits though, because if he is on full rage, he does crit hard. He does crit more often, and crits are a huge thing for this season. He has more AD growth. Top lane Varus, lower armor growth. That's helpful because when you converge on him, when you try to gap close, at least he is a little softer, easier to deal with. There's a nerf to the max health damage on his W. Also, the AP scaling has been lowered. So okay, that's fine. He has become a pretty strong top laner. Okay, Volibear top. I've seen a Volibear top. So there is an increase in bonus AD scaling for Q. Ouch. Slightly higher cooldown for E, the Thunder AoE thing with shield. But lower non-damage cap. Okay, so a nerf to jungle, but not to top lane. Top lane Volibear. Still have to be careful with top lane Volibear because he has an increased damage in Q now at 140%. Plus, he's also a Dusk and Dawn user. Xin Zhao, 3, 4, 5% max HP heal. I think if any of these become a nerf to jungle Xin Zhao, AP top lane Xin Zhao will be strong, I would say. I think I've seen it work a few times. Yone, no, I don't like fighting against Yone or Yasuo because of their crit thing. It looks like they're getting an increase in Yone's getting an increased damage in his Q, 110% total AD. Ouch. Have to be even more careful when fighting against Yone. Zahin, either jungle or top lane, but Osgate not performing well enough elsewhere. Okay, so this is more of a jungle buff. Monster damage. Okay. Zed, damage reduction to jungle, but that might mean it might bring him back to mid lane or top lane. Here we go. Here's the nerf to Dusk and Dawn. 75% base AD instead of 100. And 350 gold. I think they mean 350 health here, but you know. Endless Hunger is a little more expensive. It's now in line with Sundered Sky, for example, which, by the way, is an interesting pairing for both. AD is increased, gold is increased. Harness, I like Protoplasm Harness. I use it as a pretty good defensive item. Let's see if there's any changes. A reduced armor and bonus armor and magic resistance, but increase in ability haste. I think it's fine. It's still a useful item. And the gold, it doesn't seem like the gold at cost has gone up. We don't really have these in Swiftplay anymore, so not really going to look at it. Cashback. I haven't used cashback, but I know that some Yorick players take the inspiration tree with first strike and then use cashback. A 0.5% reduction. Also triple tonic. Adaptive force is reduced. And let's see if there's anything else. Ages of Valor. I don't really play ranked. I play Swiftplay. WASD, don't use that. Streamer mode. All information that you hide from the lobby in game will also be hidden from you. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I haven't really seen the need for it, but it might be useful for some people. Is there anything else? Rengar fixes. Wow. Look at the number of things for Rengar here. Must be a lot of bugs. Azir, Bel'Veth, Ziggs, Senna, Seraphine, Annie. No. Oh, fiction issue. Yorick appears in the patch notes. Fix an issue where Yorick's joke VO couldn't be triggered. Anyway, that's it. I think I'm about to head into the game. GG's, and I'll see you guys later.